afternoon, everybody. What's up? What's up? Woo! We are in the house. We are in the house. Hello, everybody. Oh, man, I apologize. I haven't been on here for a while. Just a lot going on. As you know, about the car situation, I've been just dealing with that. It's been crazy. So, but hey, things happen, and things are gonna be eventually good. So we're gonna get into that eventually here. I did want to get on here and talk about something since we're doing a random talk situation instead of my normals. We are definitely going to have a conversation about jobs. I mean, I know a lot of people probably enjoy something like this, hearing about this. So, because it is the truth. It definitely needs something that needs to be talked about for everybody. So, let me get this going here. Get this posted up that I'm live. It's been crazy, everybody. It's been hectic. So let's get on about jobs, man. Let's talk about this. Okay, jobs are just pathetic nowadays. It's just crazy. Heard from a friend that they let this person go. They let my friend go because supposedly 2 weeks. But let's get into the story here. So they've been working there for a while. Went through a situation that they no longer could get a ride because car situation as well. They fixed 2 weeks prior. They fixed a situation where that they didn't only had to work 3 days a week, 12-hour shift, cheaper for getting back and forth from a friend. And then they pulled them not long ago into an office and said, "Hey, we gotta let you. We're gonna terminate you because the budget it's not in our budget no more." Then lied that they were gonna fire the other person that is in that position as well because they only had 2 people in that position, my friend and a coworker. But to find out, that coworker is still there. So it was all a lie. And I told my friend, I was like, well, then you could pursue a lawsuit technically, because technically the termination wasn't a termination. It would be a layoff. The reason they probably terminate you is so they wouldn't have to pay you. I forget what it's called. Drunk would be able to tell you if he was on here. But they would have to pay you because they're laying you off because they're supposedly cutting off that position in that. And yeah, so I told my friend, I was like, it's probably best to sue them, to go after them, and that there's plenty of grounds there. They lied to you. For one, that they lied and saying it's not in their budget no more. After 2 weeks prior, they gave you more money and a lot more money. $3 more in pay, and then you were working 12-hour shifts 3 days a week. So they're every week. So it don't make sense for them to agree to something if it wasn't in their budget. Therefore, taking it from that budget to and then terminating you. There's no reason to terminate you just because their supposedly budget can't cover that position no more. Therefore, it don't make sense because it don't, because you don't do something like that unless there was some other reason. But a termination, no, it should not have been termination. It would be a layoff. Therefore, you would have got money for that. So they didn't want to pay that money, so they just terminate you, saying they were terminate you, but didn't give you a reason. So I helped them file unemployment, and they went and looked for a lawyer. From what I'm told, my friend found a lawyer, waiting to talk to them to see what goes on there. But that's what I'm saying. These jobs, you got to really be careful of these jobs and that, because these jobs nowadays, you saying you're stressing about this, this, and this, but here's the thing about jobs: you have to stress constantly if you're going to have that job throughout your life. If you, especially if you like the job, you're doing good at it, and if you don't do nothing wrong, you might have a couple write-ups for stupid stuff. That's not legitimate reasons to terminate you. And that's the thing about Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is the most corrupt state because other states, a lot of other states have protections for employees. Uh, Not in Pennsylvania. Okay, it's a Commonwealth state. They're greedy. They're corrupt. And there's a couple other Commonwealth states as well that are just like Pennsylvania, that are very corrupt, and they just bullcrap and lie to you. But termination for a budget reason is not a legitimate reason. So there is that grounds to be able to sue. There's multiple grounds as well that if you get a write-up, do not willingly sign it. Okay, you ask questions. Well, if I don't sign this write-up, what could happen? And then you could be terminated. Okay, then you sign it, and then underneath you write under duress. So under duress, I'm signing. So basically, what that says is under duress of threatening of my job, because I will not sign this write-up, I am signing this. So that is why you put under duress. Therefore, if they would, fire you because of that, that's retaliation, and that is grounds to sue. There is a lot of ways they try to do loopholes, but there's always a loophole for you as well. Know that. Even though Pennsylvania is corrupt, there's loopholes that you can go through to win a lawsuit towards a job. Especially if they're going to terminate you for a write-up. They threatening that, if you don't sign this, we're terminating you. It's simple as that. Because you do not legitimately have to sign a write-up. Just like, okay, so say that you are sick. They're forcing you to go to and get a doctor's slip. Now, you can get a doctor saying, hey, they have, give them this day off because they are sick, They can't go into detail because it's HIPAA violation. Now, if your work demands paperwork of what is wrong with you, what was causing your sickness, and that is HIPAA violation. You do not have to provide that. That you can sue for if they try to enforce it, or they terminate you because you did not show that proof. You can sue them for a HIPAA violation. Under threat of HIPAA violation, that's a federal crime. Realize HIPAA is a federal thing, and it is a federal case, and you can sue, and you definitely get big money for that because they don't know how long you were going to work there for. The judge don't know that, so they usually pay up to 10 years when you sue, and plus on top of that, what you're paying on. So I don't know what it's called. I hope Drunk eventually pops in here, so that way we can ask him, because he's already said it to me before. I just can't remember what it is. So hopefully Drunk pops into the chat and drops me a line here, so that way he can help me out, figure out what that's called for you, because I want to help you guys realize what that is. But when you're laid off, they're supposed to pay you something until your next job. So it's very, very hard to figure out what everything really is. Junior, stop. Sorry, I apologize for that. But yeah, so it is a lot of things that you got to consider with these jobs nowadays, especially here in Pennsylvania. So I can help you with that, with a lot of things. There's a lot of loopholes I know you can go through, a lot of channels you can go through to sue an employment or employer. There is what's called bullying and harassment, which is actually a crime that you can sue for. My friend expressed that, found things in that. So I don't want to give names or information or so on and so forth because, it's personal stuff. I'm coming on here because I'm trying to help others as well realize here in the state of Pennsylvania and in other Commonwealth states that you can sue for certain things. Do not let employers or businesses screw you over. And that's what a lot of people are going through. Unfortunately, you have so many times. So if you have a past one, unfortunately, you can't sue them, of course, because it's been over 2 years, over a year mark, maybe even. I think technically it's supposed to be within a few months. I would say at the most 90 days. But I would definitely check into it just in case that I possibly get it wrong. But usually those are the time frames for certain things. Now, if you were in a car accident, you got up to 2 years, I heard. So you definitely want to sue for that. Definitely, especially if it ain't your fault. Now, I would check different lawyers on what they could get you. I heard a lot about Top Dog, that they will get you the top money in that. So that's a possibility. But I would suggest you to always check different lawyers on what they can get you. Because you never know. Another lawyer could get you more money. Especially if it's a serious accident that the other person at fault caused, and that they could get you big money that you can afford another car, especially that time off from work, because especially if you get fired from work because you're taking so much, which that's illegal as well. If you're in a bad accident and your doctors are saying, hey, this person needs off for this amount of time, even if it's 3 months, your job cannot fire you or terminate you for that. Now, they could find a temporary person until you're told from the doctor, hey, you can go back to work. Then that's different. Especially if, like, say you're waiting on a lawsuit and you don't have a vehicle, they cannot fire you if you cannot make it in. It's very finicky, and a lot of people, unfortunately, do get fired because of those situations, which sucks. But you can add that into a lawsuit on top, get another lawsuit on that as well, and sue that employer. Now, here's the thing. My friend loved that job that they were at. I know for a fact they would have stayed at that job for the rest of their life. It's just one of those things and cases that it's just like, wow, unbelievable. They lied to him because they said they loved him, never would fire him, blah blah blah, and then to be terminated because supposedly a budget, and then told that, hey, you could file for this position because that's open, or this position because that's open. But then in the long run, why didn't you just come ahead of time and say, or that day, even if that day, hey, fill this application out for one of these positions that you would be considered, that you would like possibly to do here. Get that in and keep them coming to work as normal until whoever looks over the application and gets them in there, talks to them, blah blah blah, and then gets them going in that position. Then they could just pull them from the position they was at that they're cutting and put them in that new position. Simple as that, right? Not terminate them and say, hey, yeah, fill out an application, blah, 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 and then, well, whatever. Bullcrap. That is not how it works. It's not how it works, actually, ladies and gentlemen. The fact is that they can right away pull you in HR, have you do an application, pick your position that you would rather be, whichever that's open, and then, yeah. But they cannot pull you in there, hey, we're cutting this position, so we're going to terminate you. You cannot do that. We're laying you off. You're going to get this X amount of money until, you find another job. End of story for so long. Okay? Now, the person only worked there for 7 months, almost 8 months. So then they would have to pay X amount of money until you found that job in between that time. Okay? So from the time that they started to the time that you got laid off, they would have to pay X amount of money until you found out. Now, you would have to, unfortunately, call if you did find a job, say within a month or less, or whatever, or however long you found another job. You would have to report that to them, and then they would have to pay a little bit of money till you would get your first check. That's how it's supposed to work. So, unfortunately, in my friend's situation, it did not work out that way. So, definitely recommended lawsuit, suing them for a lot of money because there was a lot of shady things there. And hang on a minute, Junior, stop. But yeah, so unfortunately, it didn't happen. So I feel really horrible. It sucked. I've been in them somewhat positions as well when I was able to work, when I was working in that, even though I shouldn't have been, because of everything I've been through and the issues I have. And the thing is, I was working for Flagger Force. God, almost 2 years. Almost 2 years I did that. I took time off because my son was born. I took 2 weeks off. Now, I think they thought that, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Well, unfortunately, I had to because his mom could not go up the steps by herself, couldn't bathe herself, blah, blah, blah. A lot of things couldn't do. And so I had to be there. They did not like that, I guess, because they took me from a 10-hour-a-day job and put me on a 4-hour-a-day job. And a lot of times that client kept on canceling because, of course, it was wintertime and, or raining and stuff. And they did not, I guess that client did not like working in that condition. So it was really hard. And then I got lied to from another job that I ended up leaving Flagger Force for. We're going to put them out there. Olive Garden. Olive Garden promised me 40 hours a week, 38 to 48. I made them promise me 38 to 40 hours a week. I did not at all get that. And a lot of times they screwed me over. So I was just like, okay, I had enough. I'm not even going to call and say I quit or nothing because, I've talked to them multiple times, like, hey, this is not what you promised me. This is what you told me, and that's why I left this position, and I'm not getting that. I need this, blah, blah. And so, therefore, it was just, it was bad. It was bad. So I left them, went to another job I really liked. And I was working at the Sight and Sound over in Lancaster city area, in Bronx, I think it was. I think it was in Bronx. And I loved it. It was late at night, cleaning, 19 something an hour. It was phenomenal. And the supervisor loved me because I was getting things done and I would get it done right, even though it was early. They're like, wow. And they're like, well, next time, can you try to take your time? Even when I took my time, I got it done right. The others were dicking around pretty much. And I thought that was yeah, that's kind of messed up, dicking around. Then again, I understand you're trying to drag it out, but it was crazy. But I got in a situation where a coworker was harassing me. And so I reported to the supervisor. The supervisor reported to the main people. And then next thing I know, I got a call and they letting me go. And they're like, oh, we're going to have to let you go. This, that, and third. And I was like, what the hell? So it was bad. I could have sued for that. And I didn't. But had a couple other jobs. Then I went to Amazon. And I don't recommend anybody going to Amazon for delivery, the driving delivery vans. And I don't recommend it because they fire people left and right for the stupidest stuff. Now, I had a few incidents. They were calling me on my phone while I was driving. So as I'm watching the road, even I reached over and they have cameras in these vans. I reached over to put the answer. Uh, that camera activated and they bitched me out. And I'm like, you're calling me. There's no pullover spot. Okay. So if you're calling me and if I wouldn't have answered, you would have complained that I didn't answer the call. So it don't make no sense because I've done that before too, where I was driving, couldn't pull over at the time. So I let the call go because of that write up I got for answering the phone while driving. So when I pulled over, I called them back. Hey, what's going? Oh, why didn't you pick up? And I was like, well, because I was driving, and I got a write up before that for answering while I was driving because it activated the camera. Oh well, whatever. Had another situation where it was Super Bowl Sunday, and I don't know if you remember that day. It was sheets of ice everywhere in these driveways and sidewalks and the pathways, sidewalks that lead to people's houses. They told us not to deliver. They said call, text, call, see if they'll come out to you because we don't want you getting hurt. A lot of people weren't answering, so I wasn't able to deliver my packages, but I did the call, text, call to the customer. Of course, it was early in the morning, and people are sleeping in to get ready for the Super Bowl, I guess, or out and about getting stuff for the Super Bowl. I got reamed out for that. And then it went downhill from there. And they were constantly bothering me. And I had 2 totes left full of packages. That was it. Left to deliver. Hardly really much in it. They send someone out to one of the spots I was stopping at to get a tote. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I got 2 totes. There's barely anything in them. Like, what the heck? And I got time. I got plenty of time. It was early. It was like 4 something in the evening. And it's like, this don't make any sense. I ended up quitting. I was like, but that wasn't like, you don't understand. I'm going to go into more details. So before all that happened, I went up this driveway. It was clear. They said to look to make sure there's no ice, that blah, blah, blah. At the beginning of this weird driveway, you couldn't really see around the curve because there was trees and that. So I was like, okay, it looks good. It looks like they might have salted it. So I went to go up it, and at the top, it was good until I got near the top of this hill, and it was ice, and the van just wouldn't go, and it kept going backwards, and yeah. Called in, hey, I'm stuck. There's no way to turn around unless I back up, and I don't want to get reamed out because you're not allowed to back up, really, unless you're in an area where you can turn real quick, you know. So they had to come out, put cat litter down, and boom, whatever. Got reamed out for that, right up. I went through a red light or it was yellow at the time. I went through it just as it was turning red to prevent an accident. There was a car that was tailgating me, and I was like, man, I got a choice here. I could go through this yellow that's going to turn red soon. Explain to them, you know, hey, you can see in the river, the camera in the back that, you know, this guy was tailgating me, and if I would have stopped at the light, he would have smacked into me and caused an accident, and then I'd had to call the police, call you guys, have to wait till police show up, deal with that, and then I'm really late with delivering packages or possibly whatever. And if it was bad, really bad, you know, I probably would have had to wait for another van or whatnot. But so I made the choice, go through it. Went through it, bam, right away, call, right up. Even though I explained the situation and they could see the situation. It just kept escalating. And then, you know, sometimes I was late because there was a lot of packages, there was a lot of traffic. So, like, I couldn't help it. And I was like, well, I get done early when I'm supposed to be getting paid for the full day, and I can just take my time because it was supposed to be like 9 o'clock, I think 7:30, 9 o'clock, something like that. I can't remember. That you're supposed to be back at done. But either or, I would have been. I got everything done by 7 o'clock. By the time I got back, it was like 10, 15 minutes to get back. And they would be all mad and all that. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? I'm done one time. This, we're supposed to have up to this time. So, and I wasn't the only one. That's the thing. I wasn't the only one. There was a few others that were coming back late as well. So it's like, what the heck? Um, so it was just atrocious. They complained about the simplest thing. There was one place I couldn't get in. Um, Either way, even if I would have did a turnaround, come in, I would have had to back up, and there was a lot of traffic, so it would have been a pain trying to back up. So I pulled into the driveway, and by the time everything was, I delivered, and that it was open enough where I could just back up quick, pull out, and go. They wrote me up for that. So it just the stupidest stuff they would complain about. I left my side door open because, hey, it was easier when I was on a, you know, residential area that just, it was a lot of stops in that area. And it was easier just to leave that open so that way it can boom, 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 simple, right up for that. When I've seen tons of others do it, and it's like, what the heck? So I felt like I was targeted constantly by the other guy. He would just talk to me. He wouldn't even write me up at all, except for the Super Bowl. That's when I had an issue with him, was the Super Bowl day night, and I was just like, yeah, I'm done. Like, this is getting pathetic, and it's not worth my time. Yeah, I was making $25 an hour. Actually, I was making $25.75 an hour. But it was just, I had enough. And I was like, listen, dude, I left the two totes in. I came back. I was like, I'm done. You guys deal with this, because this is pathetic how you treat your employees, and now, you're a third party, whatever, for Amazon, and yet you're treating employees like crap. You're constantly, and I've done nothing but cordial and be nice to you and do this, that, never gave you a problem. I always get my deliveries done. I was like, look at my reviews. My reviews are perfect. I only had that one complaint because somehow they tried to say that I delivered to the wrong address, but yet in the photo, it was at the right address. So I don't know if they were having a bad day and just wanted to take it out on somebody, but they didn't write me up for that because, but the review was stuck on there for some reason. But they did confirm to regular Amazon employees that, yeah, or management, that, yeah, he put it at the right address. It's right there. We take pictures for that reason. So that was the only one bad job. But even though with that one bad, I was 5-star. I was a 5-star delivery driver. So it was really upsetting and confusing for me. So I just had enough. I was like, I can't, like, mentally, and they knew my whole background. They knew my whole situation. So it was just really upsetting to, have to leave there, because I did enjoy it. I mean, I did complain a little bit because my joints and that were hurting from in and out, because I didn't have the good van. I hardly got the good van where it has the steps. And so it affected having to technically jump in and out of the side or get in, because we weren't allowed to use the driver door or passenger door. You had to go and back to the side. So I just I couldn't take it no more mentally, and I told him, I was like, listen, I can't do this anymore. You're gonna have to. I've been nice to you guys. I'm a 5-star driver, and yet this is how you treat me and others that are 5-star as well, even for 4.8 stars. You're treating them like crap. So no. I was like, this ain't working out, so I'm out. Then they said the ignorant thing, oh, well, you're easy to replace. And I was like, yeah, easy to replace until you fire that person, because they ain't doing this, and that. And guess what? You're going to have to go. And then you're constantly going through people until I told them, one day you're going to go through everybody that wants to work that position, and you ain't going to have nobody. It's like, you're going to be in it, and then Amazon's going to throw you out, because guess what? You can't keep nobody. So yeah, that's the situation, and I don't think they really cared, which is sad. It's really sad. So, like I said, you got to really be careful in a lot of jobs. There's a lot of places I wouldn't recommend. Women's and babies, I wouldn't really recommend that one for too many people. St. Anne's, and there's a few other retirement homes I wouldn't recommend. God, I can't remember all their names right now because I'm trying to think of everything. Amazon delivery driver, I wouldn't recommend. There's one over in Greenfield. I wouldn't recommend. Media something. I wouldn't recommend them. McDonald's, Burger King, wouldn't recommend them. Walmart, Giant over in Lidditz. Yeah, the Giant in Lidditz there, right next to Southers. Would not recommend them for night stalking. And that I wouldn't recommend. I worked there, and yeah, it was a lot of bull crap. There's a lot of places I wouldn't recommend jobs. There's a lot also that I would recommend that, Junior, last time I'm going to tell you. So there's a lot of places I wouldn't recommend in that, and a lot of places I would. The few that I've listed so far is definitely 100% do not go for a job. If you want something that's really good, I would suggest looking for a military warehouse and stuff like that, and go there. Junior! So, sorry about that, guys. But yeah, so recommend certain jobs that I would recommend is government jobs, military warehouses that you would have to do certain things. They're always the best paying jobs, usually. So definitely recommend those. Certain warehouses I would recommend. But like I said, be careful of these jobs, man, because you are expendable. They really don't care about you. They really don't care. They see you as expendable, and they can hire somebody else, and especially hire someone at a cheaper rate. So be careful, man. So I just wanted to get on there and talk of that. I might come back on tonight to get back into my regular stuff. We will see how I feel, and with everything that's going on too, I'm going to get that figured out. So hopefully I'll be back on tonight between 6 and 7 p.m. So be prepared, hit that follow, hit that subscribe, and we will see what happens. That way it will pop up and we'll get back into our regular program. And we are going to go on to about the flat earth theory. So I'm about to prove my point on that, and we will get on to that. All right. Have a great afternoon. Love y'all. God bless.